Hello, I'm Victor Stabin, and I'm here today to talk about one of my biggest artistic influences, Salvador Dali. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Victor Stabin. Dali was a hyper-skilled draftsman, best known for striking and bizarre imagery. His best-known work, The Persistence of Memory, was completed in August 1931. At that time, Dali was born in 1904, so he was 27 years old and he was nailing it. When I think about Salvador, and we're on a first-name basis, influencing my work, I can't help but think about tuna fishing, which is a painting I got to see live in 1972. I was lucky enough to go to the High School of Art and Design. Art and Design was in a business district in Midtown on 57th Street. On Madison Avenue and 57th Street was the NOLA Gallery. They had this painting there. I'm not quite sure of the dimensions, but I think the painting's at least 12 feet high and about 16 feet long, but it might as well have been as big as a movie screen, and I was sitting in the first row. I got to walk up to the painting, and I was looking at it. It was just cinematic, and the detail on it and the color on it was just overwhelming me. And one of the things that happened in this painting was he was exploring cubism, or he was referencing cubism. He was referencing pop art. He was referencing the golden age of the Renaissance as far as rendering. What I'm talking about is, okay, so pop art was hot at the time. This almost looks like a cop-out for Dali, just to make a silhouette with high contrast, like a cartoon. This is referencing the art of the 60s and the 70s. I don't know why he felt the need to put this in, but he did. Maybe he was just going all art history and everybody. Another thing that was going on in this painting that really drove me over the edge was looking at this leg. This is the rendering on a leg. And one of the things that I learned later in college from a teacher named Doug Johnson was to render things in shapes where they're not realistic, but they make sense when you pull away. I went and visited this painting 10 times. I could just leave school, walk down the block. I physically never stood in front of a painting that impressed me as much as this. He did this painting when he was 66 and 67 years old. This thing took him 2 years. I love it. I absolutely love it. If this guy's my influence and I'm a true fan, I have to pass the master. I have not done that yet, but on the road to reaching the master's house, I created this painting called Hatchlings. Okay, so the fun thing about this painting, I happened to make friends with the man who wrote the book, The Journey of the Turtle. His name is Carl Safina. And when it came down to naming the painting, I got in touch with him and I asked him to name it for me. And he said, let's call it Hatchlings. And that is a word that does not come out of my head easily. I know what it means, but I've never used it. So what is this painting? Where did it start? Well, my kids were 3 and 4 at the time. We would bathe them together. And after they would get dried off after coming out of the tub, they would run to the mommy and daddy room and they would jump on the mommy and daddy bed. And the thing that I noticed most was they are so joyous. I thought to myself, I will never have that much joy as long as I live. And I just thought to myself, I have to record this because I've never seen such happiness. From that moment came this painting. And it wasn't an idea that solidified all at once, but most of it did. I let it hatch. I knew when I started this painting it was going to be one of my more ambitious pieces of work. And I wanted to record the step-by-step of the whole thing, which is always fun if you're a fan of painting or a painter, to see the origin sketches. How did it birth itself? So what I have here, what I did first was the room and the bed, and then the kids, all right? And I was looking at that and thinking, it's a little bare. How am I going to hold this together? And then I decided, I'm going to put a spiral in there, and they're going to be dancing and jumping around. And the spiral's going to be looping and lacing through them. So how did I do the spiral? I'm very picky about arches and ellipses and how they work and how balanced they are. So the spiral was painted with a rag that had purple oil paint on it. The oil paint was diluted with a mixture of half linseed oil and half turpentine. So I wanted to actually do a yellow painting because I had never done a painting that looked yellow. Like all my paintings were blue or earth tones or red, but I've always looked at paintings by painters and thought, oh, their adventurous use of yellow. So I let this baby hatch. It grew from a little egg, from a seed of an idea, and that acorn turned into a mighty oak. And so that's the story of hatchlings. I'm very proud of it. It's one of my favorite paintings. I've seen people, I've seen women in the gallery look at it and start to cry. And I've gone up to them and asked them, what's going on? And they said to me, this is the story of my children. They used to do the same thing after they took a bath. And so I found something that was not unique to me, but sort of common to childhood development and mommies and daddies. So that's going to be it for today, folks. Thanks a lot for listening to me talk about my particular painting and the influences that brought it to life. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments. If you'd like to know more about my work or shop for prints, apparel, and more, go to victorstabin.com, and we'll be doing more of these. Hope to see you soon.